Hello everyone and welcome back. If you just finished the first lesson, you've already written and ran your very first C# program, and that's already awesome. But today we're going to unlock the secret rules that will make your code work, which are the basics of C# syntax. So let's just jump in. Why do rules matter? Imagine you are sending a text to a friend, but you leave out all the punctuation and spaces and all that. That would be pretty hard to read and understand, right? Computers are even pickier than your friends. They need you to follow extremely specific set of rules, otherwise they'll just give you an error. And because of that we have the first rule, case sensitivity, which means C# is a case sensitive language. That means that hello written with a capital H is not the same as hello written with lowercase letters. They are not the same. And because of that, if I write console with a lowercase c, I will get an error. And Visual Studio won't even let me compile it, because it doesn't recognize the word console written with a lowercase c. So always pay attention to lowercase and uppercase, they matter. Rule number 2, and a very big source of errors for beginners, semicolons for ending instructions. Every instruction in C#, also called a statement, needs to end with a semicolon character, which is this one right here. Think of it like a period at the end of a sentence. If you don't put a period, you don't actually understand where an idea ends and another one begins. In the same style, if I don't put a semicolon character at the end of an instruction, Visual Studio doesn't know where that instruction ends, and that will give me an error. So always check your semicolon characters. Rule number 3. Comments are notes for you and not for the computer. Sometimes you want to leave a note for yourself or whoever wants to read your code, and that's where comments come in. They are ignored by the compiler and are only relevant for the humans. So there are two ways to define a comment. Either two forward slashes and everything that follows on that line until the end will be considered a comment, so it will be ignored by the compiler. Or if you want a block of code, you can put a forward slash and a star, then a star and a forward slash, and everything that follows between will be commented out. Use comments to explain what your code does and to temporarily remove pieces of code you don't want to run. You should also know that there are programmers that don't approve of comments because they argue that comments can lie, meaning what the comment says might not actually be what the code does. Maybe because the programmer forgot to update the comment when they changed the code, or for whatever reason. I tend not to agree with this because I do believe that simplicity is much more important, and therefore you should be able to read a comment and understand what the next few lines of code do instead of trying to decipher what's happening there all the time. And no, I don't believe that good namings for functions and variables make up for it, especially in large applications. The name of a function can tell you why the programmer chose some business logic, why they took a decision over another, and this is already another discussion. The point is, teach yourself to leave comments for chunks of code and not overdo it, because I've also seen beginners leave comments like declare a variable or write something on the screen like we did with hello world. That's useless. You just wasted a vertical line of code for nothing. Everyone can see that the next line of code writes something on the screen. The whole idea is to be able to skim through code and not decipher it line by line. That's it. Rule number 4. Formatting makes life easier. Computers don't actually care about spaces and new lines and stuff like that, but humans do. So for instance, take these two examples and ignore the errors. This line of code does exactly the same thing as these lines of code, even though they are on new lines and indented and all that. You can definitely argue that the second version is much more readable and understandable. And Visual Studio is quite good at auto-formatting your codes, but if you find the formatting of your code broken, like for instance like this, you can always go to the Edit menu, Advanced, Format Document, and it will auto-format it for you most of the times. Or if you feel adventurous, you can learn a new keyboard shortcut, hold Ctrl and press K and D. Is the same thing. So quick recap. C# cares about uppercase and lowercase letters. Every instruction ends with a semicolon character. Use comments to leave notes for yourself and keep your codes neat and readable. If you follow this simple instruction, you will save yourself hours of frustration, trust me. Most beginner errors are actually just typos or missing semicolons, so if you ever get an error, check your spelling, your semicolons, and your formatting. That's it guys, in the next lesson we'll learn how to make our program remember things using something called variables. If this helped you, hit like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what's the most confusing part about coding so far. Thanks for watching and see you in the next tech frame.